Hello and welcome to the channel. Gav Axeman Spins with the third of the trilogy of October vinyl finds, and this one is all about 12-inch singles, that wonderful format from the 80s. Kind of died off a bit in the 90s, didn't it, with CD singles, but for a time it reigned supreme. So without further ado, let's have a look. So the first one I'm going to show you is a really interesting record. It's the first time ever that this has had a vinyl reissue since 1985. Now, I didn't know that. It's come out as a limited edition of 1,500 copies, the 40th anniversary, to raise money for charity, Young Lives versus Cancer. And sadly, that's quite apt because we lost the bassist of this band this week, Manny, and I'm talking about the Stone Roses. So this record is the very first single in 1985. What's interesting about this is when you listen to it, it doesn't really sound anything like the Stone Roses. It's got more in common with the goth bands of the era. Think of early Cult, Dreamtime era, Theatre of Hate, things like that. It's a really interesting record. Not a particularly good one, to be honest with you, but it is nothing like the Stone Roses sound that we all know and love. But my local record shop, who've just moved actually to Hales Owen, but when they were in Warsaw, stuck some up on the Facebook page saying if you want one of these, get in and get them. Yeah, so they are still around online. You still can get them, but that's the very first ever reissue. Now with Stone Roses, this stuff's been reissued to death, but this one hadn't been. The only time I'd got it, it was part of a CD single box set, and they redesigned the cover and made it look like that. But it's a bit of a curio. It's not the greatest song ever made, but yeah, it's the only ever 12-inch reissue. What's nice about it, I'll show you the pretty colours, because it looks like this. So there's your label. Lots of swirly, marbly, pinky kind of colours, and that's a label. So it's a faithful recreation of the original, apart from the colour vinyl, and was for charity. And obviously, sadly, we lost Manny this week, that wonderful bassist. So I have been listening to quite a bit of that kind of Manchester era, and yeah, so that was the first one. That sparked me on a little bit of a wonder what else I can get out there. Now, I am going to just give a shout out to a subscriber, Ian. Well done, Ian, because I've been doing this channel for 18 months and I've been waiting patiently for somebody to say, what are these little dotty stickers all about that turn up on your records? And someone finally did. So well done to Ian, thank you. It gives me an excuse to tell the world. I don't think anyone really cared, but you know, I do. So what that means is basically, if I put one of them on my record, it basically means it's been cleaned. That thing. So when I first had vinyl, I never cleaned. You didn't clean vinyl back in the 80s, did you? And when I first started buying vinyl again, I wasn't cleaning it. But I was buying an awful lot of second-hand vinyl that had been in lofts and garages and cupboards for years, and they were quite dusty and grimy. And other than using a cloth, there wasn't really a good way of cleaning. So I eventually bought myself one of those spin clean things, which are like handheld ones that you put through a wet wash, which served me well for about 2 or 3 years till it started to need a few new bits and bobs. And then for my 50th birthday, I was lucky enough to have a proper vacuum cleaning record cleaner. But the idea was, when I'd got all these records to catch up on and clean, I thought, well, once I've cleaned them, I'll stick a sticker on. I know they've done it. If they've got a tick in it, it means it's been vacuum cleaned. So there you go. So well done, Ian. 10 out of 10 to you. You've solved the riddle of the little stickers on records. So that was the first Stone Roses single on vinyl I've got, as I say, I've got that CD box set. I've got all of the various reissues. Fool's Gold, hasn't it? It's been reissued about 100 times. But whilst after I bought that, I thought, I wonder what else is out there that I could buy. So if the first Stone Roses single doesn't sound anything like the Stone Roses, I'm glad to say the second one absolutely does, and this is Sally Cinnamon. So this is a bit of a classic. It wasn't on the debut album. It was released on the Revolver Records label, Black Records, which was part of Revolver, who claim to fame, they are actually not a million miles away, because they're based in Wolverhampton on Goldthorne Hill, which is the road that you kind of, as you're leaving Wolverhampton to maybe go towards the Black Country route and Walsall, that's that road. So quite local. And of course, the reissues of this sparked the various court cases that they got involved in for throwing paint at people. So a bit of history to this one. So this was cheap as chips. It was sold by a record shop because the cover I don't know if you can see it, got a few creases and stuff like that. You can just about make it out. So it's a new record, it had been unsealed, it's got a little bit of that, and they stuck it on eBay with a make an offer. So I made a cheeky offer and got it. So I'm glad to say it's a slightly expanded edition of the original. So you get all the studio songs there. So the 7-inch Sally Cinnamon, the 12-inch Here It Comes, and All Across the Sands. But then you get a load of live tracks. Now, anyone who's seen Ian Brown live, it is fraught with danger. I've seen him a few times, and some have been wonderful, and some have been not so wonderful. So you never quite know what you're going to get. But this is a great song. And this was, I think, actually an American record store day, released on nice red vinyl. So there's a label for those that want to know. Live tracks a little bit rough and ready, but the studio tracks sound fine. So and that was the second Stone Roses single, which wasn't on the debut album, but well, pleased to finally have that on vinyl, because actually I don't, it's only on the odd compilation, that one, so it wasn't on the studio album. So that was that one. And then whilst searching around eBay for Stone Roses 12 inches, I probably got one of the best deals I've had for a long time. That somebody had put a two kind of 12 inches without free postage at a buy it now price, which was ridiculously low. But they'd also again stuck make an offer, so I took a couple of quid off and made the offer, and managed to get Elephant Stone, and now one of the greatest singles ever made, Fool's Gold. So Elephant Stone was the third single, produced by Peter Hook of New Order fame. Has the Hardest Thing in the World and Full Fathom 5. Full Fathom 5 is one of those backwards kind of tracks. It's got the 12-inch and the 7-inch, and the Hardest Thing in the World, which is the exclusive track to that. This is a reissue. The little red thing there says it was reissued, I think, at the height of Stone Roses Mania. Again, it wasn't on the debut album, but it's got the Jackson Pollock artwork. You can kind of see that kind of iconic kind of imagery. So so basically that one was almost given away, because actually this is the one they were selling. They kind of chucked that one in as a bonus, but I'm actually really pleased to have that. So as you can tell then, I got then one of the greatest records ever made, Fool's Gold, in its 9-minute version, along with What the World Is Waiting For, double A side. So again, not the first issue. The first issue had What the World Is Waiting For along the bottom. And then when Fool's Gold took off and was the side of the double A side that was getting all the airplay, and they kind of, when they reissued it, they made the most of Fool's Gold. But 2-track 12-inch. There you go, with, again, wonderful John Squire artwork. Can't beat that, can you? And that was almost it for Stone Roses stuff. And then on another cheap as chips lot, I managed to also get a copy of One Love with Something Burning. And again, this is the long one. This one, again, very, very cheap, under £10, which is pretty good for Stone Roses 12 inches, because the sleeve has seen better days. I have glued it over here, but yeah, it was really reasonably priced. For those that like these things, there's the label, and there's a label. But these sound great on your deck. So great band. Sadly, we've lost Manny, so I wish now I'd have gone to see him when they reformed. I don't know why I didn't really. I can't quite. I think there was stuff might have been going on. I think we were might have been buying a house or something like that. But I didn't go to the reunion gig, so. But I have watched the DVD, so there you go. So, staying on a theme then, so all of those were online, and the one time I didn't go to a record shop, but I was at an antique centre, and whilst antique centres are brilliant for finding vinyl, you don't always get bargains, but you can sometimes find some real gems, and if you get lucky, they're at a really good price, because it just depends on the dealer. So I found some great kind of stuff from house clearances that been tucked away in amongst books and lamps and all that kind of stuff, and you find a little pile of vinyl. And then I've then found others where I thought they've just been ridiculously priced in not great conditions. It just depends on the store. So I was at one place where it's a bookshop, but they do have some vinyl in there, but the quality is not great inside. But outside the shop, they've got a big box load of 12-inch singles. And it isn't far from an actual full record kind of outlet as well. And I started looking through these and thought, these are, this looks a bit too good to be true, because I think they were like 50p each or something like that. And there were loads. There was a load of Depeche Mode and a load of the next band I'm going to show you. But unfortunately, when I started examining them, I couldn't quite figure out why they were outside the shop. The sleeves, for a start off, were falling apart and had rips and tears. And then when I pulled a couple of bits of vinyl, they were scratched and looked like they'd been kicked around a football pitch. So all the Depeche Mode ones, a few I'd got, but the ones I hadn't were just in such a bad condition they weren't even worth 50p, because they were literally unplayable. And the sleeves weren't even any good either, so there was no point in getting them. But one band I saw, must have had 20 odd 12-inch singles by this one band. I thought, wow, this would be great to almost get their complete discography in one go. But again, every single one I pulled out had some kind of problem. Either the sleeve was wrecked or the record was wrecked. A lot of them weren't in inners, they were kind of just loose, and the quality of the vinyl. So I stopped looking because it was depressing. But it made me think, if I see that band's 12 inches again, I might delve into them. So I'm glad to say that whilst I was messing around on Discogs buying a record, once you kind of bought one thing, the postage is as much for one record as it might be for 10 records. So it's always worth just having a look at what other things the seller's got. So I looked through all the other albums they got. There was nothing really that kind of grabbed my eye. But I then thought, I wonder what they've got in the 12-inch singles. And guess what? They got 3 of the ones I'd seen in this bargain bin, and they were like literally £1.23 each. So obviously they were just, didn't really want these 12-inch singles lying around. So just basically effectively chucking them away so you could bump up your order for your main thing. So these effectively cost £4 for these 3 that I'm going to show you. So now, if I show you that, it doesn't really tell you anything, does it? Because there used to be a little stick up there that told you what the record was, but it ain't there. But for £1.23, I ain't going to complain. Now, bonus points if you guess what this is. Rob Walker may well recognise this, because this is the Inspiral Carpets, and find out why. Now, Inspiral Carpets, one of those bands that over the years, a lot of people that I know kind of rave about them. So obviously Rob, I've mentioned, talks about them. I've got all the stuff on vinyl and album, but I've never seen them live. And also they were a good band, but they weren't in my upper echelon bands. My wife's claim to fame is she saw them doing an acoustic set at the Varsity in Wolverhampton when it was a student pub, long gone sadly. And she said they were brilliant. And you know what? I've been listening to these quite a bit over the last 12 months. And yeah, I think they are, man. So this one's great because you get the 2 songs on side 1 at 45. But the third song is 33 and third. And it goes on for about 16 minutes. A song called Plane Crash. It's a live version of it. It just goes on and on and on. So yes, that was the first one. £1.20 something. Then managed to then get what was the follow-up to that one, a wonderful song. They did use cows on their records quite a bit, but She Comes in the Fall, what a song that is. Battery Commercial Lane and Sackville, so quite pleased to have that. Great single. And just to complete the whole Manchester vibe on this section, we then got the Island Head EP. So well pleased to find all of those. And as I say, effectively cost me £4 for 3 12 inches, which doesn't happen every day. Right, sticking with all things 90s, I then picked up a few records, and again these were really reasonable online. So This was a twofer, actually. So somebody was flogging these two, which are the first single by the Charlatans, which is Indian Rope, which again wasn't on an album. With a couple of tracks there, You Can Talk to Me and Who Wants to Know. Good song, good song. But then the follow-up, which is a mega song, isn't it? The only one I know, possibly their most famous song, which wasn't on the vinyl version of the debut. And this is the US version because it's got UK, so it's got an extra track on it. But you get everything changed, Imperial 109 edit, and You Can Talk to Me again. So yeah, so a nice kind of twofer, and again, very reasonably priced. I found another bargain one. This one, the condition of the sleeve's not quite so good, but the vinyl's fine. This is a fantastic song from the second album, Weirdo. And I love that artwork. It's brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful. So yeah, great song. And then to complete my kind of Charlatans little bit, a Cheap as Chips, first time on vinyl reissue. The Chemical Brothers versus the Charlatans, and this was like all the remixes, I think, from the third album, and some from the fourth album. So that's Tim Burgess, I think, on the cover having a fag. And this was a record store day from 2020, and this comes on very nice if you want to look at the rainbow. Some very nice yellowy vinyl, isn't it? So that's quite nice. So but very reasonably priced out. Again, no postage. The reason it was a little bit cheap is there's a little bit of seam split in there. I think it was new, but the seal had gone, and I think they just wanted to get it off the shelves, really. But yeah, something like £8, so can't really knock that, can you, for that price? Right, shall we have a look now at the bargain box set, because that kind of is quite in keeping with what I've just shown you so far. And we're talking 12-inch remixes, the 90s, the remix, early 90s, the whole indie dance, Manchester Perfecto mixes. It really took off, and even bands like, say, U2 started to embrace it. But I think if there's one album that sums up the indie dance kind of era, it's Screamadelica by Primal Scream. And this is the 12-inch singles Screamadelica box set. Okay, so this one is an absolute beast of a set. You get 11 12-inch singles all in one lovely box. Now, I hear you cry, how much did that set you back? Well, this is the thing. So I've started to spot these at record fairs cropping up left, right and centre, and the price is going lower and lower and lower. So I think when it came out, it was around the £80 to £100 kind of mark. But then you started to see some issues with it. And the good thing is it isn't issues with the vinyl, which are all in there. It was issues with the way it was packaged. So I will attempt to show you what went wrong with this set now. So when this came, it was new and sealed. This was, believe it or not, delivered under £30, and you get, as I say, 11 12-inch singles. This is quite good because this shows you what's on it. So there you go, if you want to pause and have a look. Now, when this came, what happened was, when the company that put this all together, and I think they were in France, when it came, it was back to front. So that sticker there was on the back, and this, which is normally attached, was on the front. So it looks like that. It effectively was upside down. So whoever put this together, they put the hype sticker on what was the front, and they put that sticker there on the back. So it literally was the wrong way around, and I think it confused everyone. So guess what I did, folks? I literally just got the sticker from the back and put it on the front, and then took that off. Yeah, and now effectively you get the as it should be, because the eyes should be at the top rather than like that. Is how they've been packaged, like so. So that what was the back was the front, and it was also then upside down. So that's the proper image. that's what it should look like, and therefore that then is the right way up. So because of that, all these new and sealed box sets of this are being flogged off. So if you spot them and you see them cheap, don't be put off, because they are worth getting. So it's wonderful, this set. I mean, it would have cost me a small fortune to pick up all of these. So now there's also some art prints in there as well. So I'm going to do you the world's fastest guide to Screamadelica. So we get loaded along with the song it was based on, I'm Losing More Than I'll Ever Have, from the second album. There's that. You then get another version of Loaded, a Terry Farley remix, the Loaded EP. There you go. And then a great song, which the single version's better than the version that was on the album, so Come Together. And I suspect this is another version of Come Together. There it is. 12-inch overload coming up. Now, one of my favourite songs is Higher Than the Sun. So that was the third single from the album. And again, I think some of the prints might be in here. There you go. So there's some nice prints and stuff knocking around that I popped in there. So that's that one. And again, different to the version on the album. A second 12-inch for Higher Than the Sun. A remix, and then Higher Than the Orb. And the fourth single from the album, quite a radical song, so Don't Fight It, Feel It. Again, with some different mixes on the back, and a different remix then of that as well. So that's that one. And then the big song, believe it or not, which was the fifth song from the album, and was part of an EP. So the Dixie Narco EP, which of course features Moving On Up. Stone My Soul, Carry Me Home, and the title track Screamadelica, which wasn't on the album. So that's great. Again, look at that wonderful sleeve artwork there. And then finally, Shine Like Stars, the Andrew Weatherall mix. So that was number 6. So great set. All nicely done. The records are immaculate. New and sealed. 11 12-inch singles for less than £30, which I don't think would happen very often, and that's fast become one of my favourite box sets. So well happy with that. And I have had a lovely bit of time whilst getting over the loss of my little cat Obi. Thank you for all the kind messages from that. Reliving a bit of my misspent youth listening to Primal Scream. Great band. And that's almost it for the 12 inches. So the ones I've got left to show you are by bands that I'd already buying 12 inches and already got quite a lot, and just picking up the oddity. Now, this one was interesting. I had no idea U2 was still doing 12-inch singles in 2004. So apparently it was non-chart eligible because they'd done 2 CD singles, DVD singles. So this was almost out there, but it didn't count towards chart position. But a #1 single in the UK. Again, really reasonably priced. And then from the Achtung Baby album, I managed to pick up Even Better Than the Real Thing on 12-inch. So, which has got a very good B-side in Salome, good song, and then a dance mix of Lady with a Spinning Head. So, pretty good. And here's a bit of a special one. So, one of my favourite bands that I do buy all the 12-inch singles, and I've almost now got a complete set. But the wonderful The Smiths. This is the US release of How Soon Is Now, and it includes 2 other tracks, so Girl Afraid, and then the 7-inch version of How Soon Is Now on the Sire label. Now, I have been after this for absolutely ages. I finally found one on a really reasonable price, so really pleased to get that final edition. One of the few official releases where the band are actually on the cover. Mike Joyce on the back, and there's the other 3 on that. Never quite sure whether this should be that way up, this way up, or whatever, because the spine's there, which to me would mean that's how it stands on the rack. But I don't know. But there you go. But well pleased to have that. Now, here's a good one. The Mighty Iron Maiden. This was somebody, sadly, was selling off a collection of somebody who passed away, and it was full of wonderful 12-inch singles, and these are like the European German versions. So, I mean, look at that, it's brilliant, isn't it? There were, I think, from the first for the third album and the fourth album, there were 4 singles, and there was one of everyone, and the only one I managed to win in the bid was this one. I actually got it at a really good price, so I was well happy to find that, but the others passed me by, but well pleased to have a copy of Number of the Beast. And then for those that are still watching, I have been picking up the Marillion 12-inch singles. There was one left to go, and I'm only doing the Fish era, so I managed to get the final one, which is Freaks, which was a B-side originally of Lavender. This is the live version with a couple of extra tracks on as well. But I also found something back in the day I'd been after for years, and it's the European version of Garden Party, a live version, and Kaylee and Script for Justice 2 on the back as well. But that was issued, I think they did a big concert at the Milton Keynes Bowl, and that's what that was all about. But look at that for a lovely bit of artwork. So that concludes the 12-inch singles. Took a bit of time there, but there was quite a lot actually more than I realised. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you're still here, and if you are still watching and you haven't yet done so, please consider liking, subscribing, leaving comments, and also there is that hype button. Don't really know what it does, but it's out there. So but without further waffle, I'll see you on the next one.